welcome to my shop. I'm Mike and I appreciate you stopping by. You know, last week I started a video on buying, restoring, and selling on eBay. So this week it's time to restore this little plane that I bought on eBay for $13.01 and $17 and some cents for shipping. I got $31 total into this number 3. Now, we talked last week a little bit about knowing the value of a plane and how to find out the value of hand planes. But one thing I failed to mention is don't forget the shipping, because you're going to have to add the ship. You pay for the shipping, so you're going to have to add the shipping to the price of the plane. Now, this guy charged me 17 and some cents to ship. Now, according to the post office, this box right here is $15.70, and if it fits in there, it'll ship. So I think there's a smaller box that this number 3 could have gone in, but he used this, and you know, he made a couple of bucks on shipping, which theoretically eBay states that they don't want you to make money on shipping. You should ship it at the price that it costs you to ship. So to give you an example, let's say you go on eBay and you look at newly listed, and you have a nice little 3 there, 4 there, you know, maybe a later type or something, not a sweetheart, but you know, and they've got $14.99 on it. Buy it now. Well, you know, that's a pretty good price for Stanley. But then you look at the shipping, it's got like $33 shipping. So on something like that, run as fast as you can. Unless the plane is a 1 for $14.99, he charges you $38.50, then grab it quick. So this week we'll concentrate on tearing this plane down, getting it all tuned up, shined up, cleaned up, and I'll show you the tools that I use and the steps that I take to do it. So let's oh, one thing before we get going to restoring this. This is a filthy, dirty job. I'm telling you, it is. So wear your worst clothes, because when you wear them in here to start doing planes, you're ruining those clothes. And if you do a couple of planes, I would suggest that you go out to the garden hose and wash your arms and your face, because if you don't, your shower's going to be orange and you'll be in there with a can of Babo, you know. So it's dirty. Prepare for it. You know, always wear a respirator, or at least a dust mask, and let's get on this dirty job. Alrighty, here's the tools I use. Now, you don't have to have these tools to restore a hand plane, by no means, but if you're going to sell on eBay, you know, as I said last week, my business plan was make $10 an hour. If it took me 4 hours to do a plane, I had to add $40 on that plane. Now, if I didn't have these tools, I'd have probably been working for $2 an hour. These tools really help speed up the process. So first of all, we've got my wire brush. Now, that's just an old motor out of a washing machine that went kaput back in the 80s. So I use it for my wire brush. And I mean, I've gone through cars and hand planes, and I mean, that thing's got hundreds of hours on it. I can't believe it's still running. And then after the wire brushing all the gunk off, I go to my belt sander. Now, this little belt sander is another thing that's worked and worked and worked. I bought it at Harbor Freight. I can't even remember what I paid for it. It was well under 100, plus I got 20% off. And for belt sanding for hand planes, it makes the work a lot easier. Then after the whole thing is done, I will buff it, use my buffing wheel and some like 1200 or 3000 grit paste on it. Okay, so that's basically for the hand plane. Now to keep going, you know, I've got my paper towels and rags and WD-40 and Mother's polish. I've got my Norton stones, my flattening stone, my strop with two difference, the dark ones for the strop and the lighter ones for my buffing wheel. I've got a magic marker. I've got an old perfect handle screwdriver. I've got my respirator, which is probably the second most important thing there, over my safety glasses. And then I've got my super eyes so I can see what I'm doing. My hands aren't all that great, so I can't use my hands to feel like normal people do. So I've got to use my cheek or my super eyes. And then there's also, I have three, other than my belt sander, I have three other sanders. And I've got two palm sanders and a Ryobi corner cat that's kind of like a triangular type sander to get the point will get into tight areas. So that's about all I have, except for last and not least, this is my Grizzly, and it's really good. It only grinds to 500, I think. I'm not even sure. But when the bevel is bad and it's got to be reground and stuff, this water grinder makes short work of it. And then after the Grizzly, then I go into my Norton stones and put a 1000 or 4000 on it. So that's everything except one last thing. I gotta have sandpaper. All right, in my sandpaper box, gotta get the lid up. I need my gloves, that's for sure. Without that, I can't sand very long. Here's some more belts for my my sander. It's 80 on there now. It's got 120, 150 and stuff on it. What else do I? Better get some steel wool. I think that's about all I need out of here. Let's need some 350 or some 250, some 320. These are 220. Better take those for the cat corner cat. 320, 150. Guess that's about all here. I know that I bought some wet dry. It's 220, 500, 1000, and 1200, and then I'll go to 2000 here, and I guess that's about it. All I need, I think, out of here. Yeah, I think that will do it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to use is my wire brush to get most of the junk off this hand plane. So always wear your respirator, and believe me, on this wire brush, don't even turn this thing on without wearing your safety glasses. I mean, I can't tell you how many wires I picked out of my forehead and cheeks, and how many times I've heard it click off my safety glasses. So on your wire brush, be really, really careful. And if you're going to go out and buy a wire brush, don't buy a cheap one, or you're going to get peppered. Spend a little more money. So let's clean this hand plane up. Remember that every part of that plane's got to be clean. Every single part. And be sure not to let this wire brush grab it and pull your hand down in it. That'll smart. That'll smart big time. And you don't want to ask me why I know. Okay, there we go. We've got all the pieces wire brushed down. I've got 45 minutes invested in just the wire brushing, and that's the easy part. So it's time for me to have a cup of coffee, and I think that's why I get paid $10 an hour. I'm not a good worker, so I'll go get a cup of coffee and we'll come back and we will start the hard work. Alright, let's sand this plane. I know the bottom's not flat. I checked it and it's pretty far out. So let's get the rust off this thing first. Coming along. Coming out nice. It's going to be nice, I think. Alright, now I switched out the 80 for a 120 metal belt. Alright, you do, we've got it down to 120 right now. We've got most of the pits. There's a few little, but I don't want to go too far on it. I mean, this is a 90-year-old plane. So once we get all the rust off and most of the pits off and everything like that, then the sanding is done. So what we do from here on out is we replace scratches. We replace 120 scratches with 150, 150 with 180, 180 with 220, and right on up. Pardon me. It's a lot easier to sand 120 scratches out with 150 than try to sand 120 scratches out with 180. You'll be sanding a long time and going through a lot of sandpaper. So do it steps until you get up to like 240, and then when you get up to 600, 800, 1000, then you don't have to be as close. But you know, 120, 150, 180, 220, and then up. Now the belt sander with the metal belts on it, that's not to get it flat. You know, it's probably not even close to flat. So what I use is a stone, a flat stone, and some wet dry paper, if I can get the lid off. And then I just want to kind of, you know, squirrel this thing up just to know where I am on flatness. So now I've already got 40 minutes into this, into taking the sides down. So I might have 4 hours into this plane. Let's see what we got. right around the edges. So there's a belly in here. So I got quite a bit to do. Beautiful. All the marks are gone. The bottom is flat. Now, this particular plane was a little worse than most. I've been working on this an hour. You know, on the belt and flattening an hour. Now, if there's a little concave, if the sides are flat and the mouth is flat and everything's good, that's great. A concave doesn't matter because you know, it's sitting on the edges. But a belly, if this has got a belly in it, the plane will rock. And this had a belly in it, so I had to do a lot of around the middle here to get that belly down, so the plane won't rock. You know. So we're moving right along. Now let's go to 150, 180, 220. Okay, we've got this thing sanded down to 120 all the way around. So now we want to go 150 and on up. Now, the bottom is flat. So we got to be real careful on the bottom. We don't want to change anything. We just want to take out the scratches. So have kind of a gentle touch on this, and when you're done, check it again. Now sometimes there's bigger scratches than this will take on, so now I'm going to have to drop back to 120 and get rid of those scratches. There's some scratches in here and I don't want them to be in there. And this is too fine to take them out. Okay, YouTube, we're down to 150 right now, or excuse me, 180. So we'll go 220 and keep going up. But let me show you what it looks like already. Don't mind the dogs, I don't. I wish I did. But what do you think? It's starting to come along. This might be a nice little 3 after all. Let's keep going. What I'm doing now is just cleaning up the sides. You don't want anything to have grunge on it. I mean, it's like a sharp-dressed man. You could have the best Armani suit in the world on, and if his shoes aren't shiny, he looks like crud. So make sure that all the little details are covered. Nice and shiny like new. Now one thing on your cap iron or your chip breaker, whatever you want to call it, you want to make sure that this is straight as an arrow. You want to make sure that there's no bends in it, and this one looks really good. We got lucky on this one. It's perfect. So onward and upward. All right, YouTube, we've got it polished or sanded down to 400. You can already see that it's getting to be very shiny. You know, the blades were very bad, but now they're not so bad. But it does show some age. There's some flea bites on it, but for 90 years old, I don't think I can complain. I think it's coming out pretty good, although I do have quite a lot of time in it. So I'm keeping track of it. So we'll see how much it takes at the end. Right now I'm going to call it a day. Come back out tomorrow and start again. So until tomorrow, we'll be back.